Hello and welcome to today's video. What we're going to be doing here, we're going to be doing the job I've been saying we're going to be doing for a few weeks now, but we've got the weather, so we're going to do a complete renovation and we're going to do it from start to finish. So let's get to it. Okay, so we'll just have our walk over as normal. Now, over the last few weeks, I have been doing certain things on this and it's been digging out annual meadow grass. We've just had so much, just as I think when I've got it all, I turn up and there's just loads more and you think, how did I miss that one? So it's either come in while I'm sleeping or it was just there and I missed it. Probably I'd say it's coming while I'm sleeping because I'm pretty sure I got it all out, but we'll never know. So this area we're going to need to do some seeding on. This last year, if you remember, it just started dying off towards the back end, and I think we're going to put it down to the cleaners from next door, throw in some kind of bleachy water on there. Because like I said, Lloyd, my old friend Lloyd, he said he saw them tipping some water out. Not on this particular day they did this, but just another time. So we'll never know again, but it just shifts the blame away from me, which is what we want. So let's just see if we can find any more annual meadow grass. We haven't got any weeds as such, like dandelions or anything like that. We've just got the annual meadow grass, and there you go. There's a bit already. But it's good this time of year, it's seeding so you can see it. Sometimes you have like purple heads on like that and that means we're about to drop, so let's get on to that. There's another piece there. There's loads, and I dug out a full flexi tub out the other day and still we've got loads. You can see all the, like I call them bullet holes. What you see where I've just dug it all out. But in the main, got a nice even coverage all over, so we don't have to go mad with the seed. Just over there is where we're going to need to do. I will overseed the whole area, but I'm really happy with how it looks now, because last year it was quite patchy. See there, loads of annual meadow grass here. This is next doors, I've not really touched their side yet, so I'll do that next, and we'll try and get annual meadow grass free as much as we can, and then we'll get on with scalping it. Alright, so I've got my fork in here, managed to find this one. I just keep finding them all over the place. I'll lift up a cushion or something and I'll find one under there, probably from my tea that, it's probably not from my pocket, but nevertheless I still found one. So we just get in there and just tease it out, and you can just hear the resistance giving way and you know it's coming out. Just very careful when you get that last bit of tension, that's when it's like to spring out. If you make too much noise with it, or you know, just too much tension and don't do it carefully, they'll spring out. You can see all those seeds on there ready to drop, so that's quite a big piece that was covering that whole area, but it had just grown laterally, so glad we got that one out. Right, so I'll crack on with the rest and then we'll join you back here when we're going to scalp it. Okay, so even though I thought I was pretty much done, just been all over again today and absolutely full of it. I've already pulled out a couple of these already in the last few weeks, but it's important we do it before we scarify, because all those seed heads will just get dispersed all over the lawn and we're going to end up with an even bigger problem. I know it's labour intensive, but it's better doing it before we do everything else, just to be on the safe side. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get the rotary out and we're going to cut it as short as we can with that, just to take the stress off the cylinder. Then we're going to scalp it, then we'll scarify it. And then what I'm going to do is, with all these holes where you can see where I've dug out the annual meadow grass, I've got that spare bag of field compost number 5, which is mixed in with horticultural sand, which is almost the same as the sub base that we've got. So we'll throw all those in the holes and then we can top dress everything like overseed top dress. And fleece not decided yet. Probably might do that side just because of all the flowers on the trees over there, on the pearis and stuff, which are going to land on the lawn, and we've got that azalea there as well. So we'll decide that later on. Okay, so the second job of the day, we're going to scalp the lawn now with the hater. Got it on number 1, no messing. We're just going to take off as much as we can with this one, just to relieve the stress on the cylinder, and we can use that to just fine tune down to the depth that we want, which will be really short today because I really want to hammer this with the scarifier just to see if we can get rid of all that annual meadow grass that might still be there, and just make it stand up so we can see it, and we can just pick out anything that's left with the fork. Okay, so that's the job done with the hater. Got it nice and short. You can see now even more holes from over the week, so I've been digging a lot from today. Now, as you could see there, I was stopping every so often because I found a piece of annual meadow grass which was growing like laterally. Now I've found one as well, so you can see that not only does the seeds grow upwards so you can see them, it just grows amongst the rest of the grass very low as well. And that's when now we can have a proper walk over again and just pick up anything that we might have missed. And then we'll get on with the scalping with the cylinder. Oh god damn, what have you done? Looks an absolute mess. It was fine, wasn't it? But when we're going to that higher level of looking after a lawn, we want really good. This is what you've got to do. So you can see how close we are now. Back to soil level. So when we're mowing, our mower is making contact with the soil and not like a grass or a thatch layer, which is like an inch off the ground. So going forward, we're in a good place. So what I'm going to do now is get the Scarifier out, and we'll whip over this a couple of times and see what comes up, and then we'll have our final walk over for annual meadow grass, and then we'll get on with some seeding. All right, so that's done. That is really hard work, that, because you're pushing that machine up the hill, and because the blades aren't set that deep, it doesn't really create any traction, so it doesn't propel you up the hill like it normally does on other lawns where it's flat. The deeper you go, it actually kind of creates a self-propelled mechanism, if you like. So what we'll do is now, once I've got my breath back, we will get the rake out and we'll rake this up. I was going to just mow it up, but there's too much now. I've done my second pass. If I'd have just done one pass, it would have been fine just to go on with the rotary. And I'm not too concerned about closing up these grooves today because we're not really doing any seeding in the middle, just a little bit, just to help it along. But what we'll do is down here, like last year, we have to seed more here. What we'll do is we'll get our hand Scarifier out and just ruffle those soil areas up so we can get some seed on, and then with the top dressing, because I need to go on with the rotary today because I need to be able to hoover up all that debris out of the holes that we need to fill. If I just go on with a rake, all those little holes are going to be full of like debris from the Scarifier. So it might be that after we've mowed, I might have to just go on with a blower and clear those out because it still might not pick it all up, but we'll see. Right, let's get on with some raking. All right, so you can see now we're back to the soil. So like I said before, when we're mowing, our mower is going to start back at 0 and we can then raise the height accordingly throughout the year rather than starting at like 3 inches high because we've not done this, taken all that top growth off. So what we'll do now is we'll get out with the hater again just to pick up anything that the rake's left behind, and then we can get on with ruffling up some of these areas with the hand Scarifier, filling in these holes with a bit of top dressing, and then we can overseed and get on with the field compost number 4 and then decide whether we're going to fleece it. Alright, so just these flat areas here where the mower has just literally squashed the soil together. So we just want to break that up a little bit because the seed's just going to wash off. So even though this is rusted now, the pivot thing has gone on it. We can just push and pull it and then there's just a little bit of stuff coming up, but we'll just blow that off, no problem. So if we don't do this, the seed, it'll just wash off when it dries rock hard, because you can guarantee now I'm starting doing this, there's going to be no rain. Even though I did say there was none due before, it did just rain a little bit, and it said less than 10% chance on the Met Office app. So sometimes it can be real hit and miss, especially when I'm doing seeding jobs. It seems to be very wrong. So just like that, and just creating a bit of a tilth just for that seed to sit into. So I'll just crack on with this, and then we'll get our top dressing out and go and fill in them holes. Alright, so I'm just going to go on with the field compost number 5, which is a bit more substance to it because it's got the sand mixed in with it. We can compact it and we know it's not going to degrade like just compost on its own. So because these holes are so small in places, I can't go along and seed one individually. So what I've done is I've just put a tiny amount of seed in here, so much so that you probably can't even see it, but there's just 4 or 5 seeds per handful. And then once we get that in there, there's some seed going to come through, and then what we can do is we can just overseed everything, and then we'll get a nice lawn coming through as well. So I'll get on with that, and it's still literally, it just takes me back to my work experience at school when we were doing divots at the golf club, because I worked at a golf club, and you just throw a handful down and you just press it down like that, and that's that. So these aren't quite as big as a golf divot, but some are, but in the main they're just a bit tiny, so you just got to put a little bit in and then just put it over with your foot and you're away. I'm just going to seed this area here, so I'm just going to do it by hand just because it's so close to the edge. Most of it's just going to blow off onto the pavement, so just do it by hand just to be on the safe side. Don't need much. You can see that it's blowing away. It's been so still all day, and then the minute I get the seed out, it starts absolutely howling with wind. So we'll just stick that on. What I'll do is I'll do all the edge like this. And then what we don't want, because what normally happens is we get a lovely lawn at first growing in the pavement, the cracks in the pavement, and not much happening up here, so we'll try and do it differently this year. Just using our Barrenbrug Extreme. Now I'm in a similar position to some of you lot now, in that the old batch, in terms of the old 2022 mix, has now changed to the 2023 mix, which this is, but this is from 2021, so that's that batch. So this is like new cultivars going in, but it'll blend in perfect because it is still Barrenbrug Extreme. So you won't notice any difference. It's only very, changes that you won't even see, because it's nothing so much to do with colour, it's more disease tolerance is why they change it. So don't worry. Right, we'll get the seed on around all the other edges, and then we'll get on with the hopper. Alright, so we're just about to go on with our number 4. We've still got loads left from when we did the other side. So that's 2 weeks ago now. I was hoping to have had this done by now, but the weather's just been against us. So we'll just tip it out. This bag's been sat on top of the pallet uncovered, so it's probably just a little bit wet, but it soon breaks up. So we put it on. The discount code's still valid, by the way. Always valid, that. 10% off. DHLE10, and we'll just drag this around, covering that seed up. I have been quite lucky in one way, because I've not had to do much watering yet this year, but that has coincided with a lack of sunlight, or some heat rather than sunlight. So Charlie, not really where I want it to be just yet. I'm hoping that we get some nice heat on there in the next 10 days just to bring it on, because I've done everything I can now just to get it right. It's in the hands of the gods now, and hopefully we can get that looking somewhat like, but we are pushing it a little bit, and the weather's just been grey for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks now. But nothing we can do about that. More important issues like Bolton Wanderers going for the playoffs. So we've got Accrington tomorrow night. If we can't win that, then we don't deserve to be in the playoffs. I went to Burton last week, and we should have won that, but we didn't. Went on Saturday, and we should have scored more than we did. So we're making it hard for ourselves, but that's the Bolton way. We've always been like that, always make it difficult for ourselves. But to be honest, it adds a little bit of excitement to the end of the season. That's a good thing about the football this year, is that all the divisions, nothing's decided yet, where sometimes like everything's decided as you get to the last 2-3 games, and it's a bit boring. But this year, everything is still up for grabs in all the divisions. I think Burnley have been promoted, and that's about it really. In Wrexham, obviously that's a nice story. Even though I'm no affiliation to Wrexham whatsoever, I've become like a fan, and I think that's probably a similar story for a lot of people. I watched that, it was just on as I came into the football after Bolton finished on Easter Monday, and Ben Foster was out to receive the penalty against him, and he saved it, and the place went mad. Even though we're not Wrexham fans, it was just still a great moment. So yeah, right, enough about football. I'll get the rest of this done. That's done about 8 to 10 square metres. One bag does at a little rate. So I've rated it out, but then what I like to do is just like to go over it like that, and we'll get a bit more out of it this way. I don't think I'm going to fleece it today just because it's too windy. Oh, it's dropped now. How weird that. It's like really windy. And then it just drops and there's nothing. And then you're like, oh yeah, I can get on with some stuff. Because I don't think I'll be able to put wetting agent on today because it's so windy in times, which isn't good. But if it's like this, I will be able to. Just can't fathom it out at the minute. It's probably one of the coldest Aprils on record, isn't it? I would think. Just absolutely like no heat whatsoever. So we'll pray for some soon. Right, so I'll get cracking and I'll see you in a sec. Okay, so I'm just finishing off now. A good rule of thumb is that when you're spreading your compost, always make sure you can see the original lawn poking through. You can't put it on too thick and the seed won't come through, because when it gets wet, it gets very heavy and quite, like not compacted, but just very compressed, and the seed just won't be able to come through. So as you can see there, you can see the original lawn. What I'll do is when we've done, we'll just go over it like that just to draw off any humps or anything that are left behind. But like I say, general rule of thumb, make sure you can see the original lawn poking through just to avoid any issues. Alright, that's another job done. I'm absolutely knackered. What have we done today? We've scalped the lawn, we've scarified it, we've overseeded, and we've top dressed, and we've got a little bit more annual meadow grass out as well. Now what is else to do here? I'm not going to fleece it, I'm just going to leave it as it is, and we'll just see how it goes. I'm going to come back tomorrow and put a wetting agent on, just because, as I've said before, the compost just needs that to help the water get through when we do get some. Can you see now it's really windy, so no way we can get any wetting agent on. So if you want to see more lawns being turned around like this, so they end up looking like this, then join us next time on Daniel Hibbert Lawn Expert, and don't forget to like and subscribe. See you soon.